Hello, I'm Julie Bieland, and I'm a psychotherapist that specializes in the highly sensitive person. And I wanted to talk today about how the sensitivity can actually increase with age. And I've been getting a lot of questions about that as different people have been experiencing that. And I have quite a few different theories about why that is, and also lots of tips on how to support that to be better. So what happens, what's really, and for those of you that have been following me for a while, you know how much I am into the brain and using the brain, understanding what we know about the brain to make changes. And what's really neat about how the brain works is that, for example, and some of you guys who have been following me for a while understand some of this stuff, but in case you're new, there's different parts of the HSP brain that are more activated than 80% of the population. And these parts that can be more activated can actually cause a more extreme stress response. And what we know about how the brain works is that the more something's activated, it literally grows. So a section in your brain can actually grow bigger the more it's activated. So knowing that, we can literally start intentionally activating centers of the brain that deactivate the stress centers because they can't be activated at the same time. So there's something you can do about it. That's what I've been trying to say for quite some time. There's actually something you can do about it. If you don't do anything about it, then those stress centers in the brain are going to keep getting lit up over and over and over again, more so than 8 out of 10 people. And that's why a lot of HSPs have such strong stress responses, and that obviously impacts us in every way imaginable, from mood to health. If we're releasing stress hormones over and over again, we are definitely going to be harming our health long term. I actually think that's why a lot of HSPs are seeing a lot of chronic conditions as well. And in general, that out of control feeling that we have when we're incredibly stressed. So I've developed methods that teach the HSP brain, which is different because a lot of programs out there are for the way that the non-HSP experiences things. And that's a really important distinction, because it's not taking into account how we as HSPs experience things. And that's why this is really important. So I wrote about this in a new blog post, and that will be going out in my newsletter. And I have talked about this quite a few times in terms of the differences of the brain, so you can check out some of those other things. I recommend you sign up for my newsletter. That is something that I put in videos like this. I put in blogs that I personally write about how to support yourself as a sensitive person in just about every way imaginable. So these are some of the things that are benefit. The most successful part of my work has been in my 8-week program, where I work with you for 8 weeks to train your brain. And so that's a brain training for the highly sensitive person program. So look out for that stuff. If you want to make a change, it really only takes about 3 weeks to grow a new neural sprout, in fact. And that's why participants usually start to feel better within the first couple of weeks. As you reduce your stress, that's going to change everything. And it's really neat about the brain that you can intentionally deactivate some of those stress centers and intentionally activate the positive calming centers. So I teach how to do that. And that's what I've done. I'm one of the most sensitive people I know, scoring a 27 out of 27 on Elaine Aron's self-test. And life was really nearly impossible for me before I did some of this stuff. And I see you guys out there struggling, and I know how hard it is because I used to experience that. And I just want you guys to know that it can get better, and there's something you can do about it. It's in my books. I've talked about this in pretty much all of my materials. So I recommend you guys check out my hspresources.com page as well. And that's where you'll find really everything about what I've developed and created for HSPs to make it better. Because what I know for sure is that if you are living in a balance-centered place, you get access to all those gifts that come with the trait. And there are many gifts. Intuition, you can read micro expressions that 80% of the population misses. You have information, you have a whole set of information that 8 out of 10 people miss. That can be so important. Some of the best artists in the world are actually HSPs, and they're people that have learned how to overcome some of the challenges. It also depends on how you were raised. Were you raised in a supportive space or not? Many of us were not raised in a supportive space for our sensitivities, which causes even more problems. In addition to that, if we're not feeling secure and supported as a child, we actually don't get to develop a part of our brain that is about emotional regulation. So that's part of why we react so much, is because we may have not developed that part. So this is about developing that part. If you didn't get a chance to develop it as a kid, for example, or you're struggling right now, you can develop it. And it's really amazing. Go to my website and read what other HSPs have been saying about the course. It's the most beautiful experience to see people really out there, going from survival mode, barely getting through the day, to high achieving, high performance mode, and centered mode, because you can really accomplish anything if you've got that centered thing down, because that's the basis for how you grow and fly out into the world. So check out all of that. If you're only going to do one thing, I recommend that you sign up for my newsletter, hspblog.com, because everything that I do gets really filtered through that newsletter, so then you won't miss anything. Okay, guys, hope that was helpful. And I will be in touch with you guys for more. Okay, take care of yourselves.